Okay, welcome everybody. It's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call this December 12th, 2023 meeting of the Thurston Conservation District Board of Supervisors to order. Welcome everyone to our last meeting of the year. For the record, we have all the supervisors with us tonight except David Ayal, who had another function. We have some staff members here, Sophia and Sarah. We have our legal counsel, Ben Cushman, with us, and then a few other guests here as well. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. The first thing up here, or the next thing up here, is an agenda review. Are there any changes to what we have before us, either from staff or board? Okay. Hearing none, I will need a motion on our agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Okay, it's moved by Betsy, seconded by Helen. We'll take a vote on the agenda then. Betsy?
Aye.
Helen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so we have an agenda approved. That takes us to our consent agenda. We've got 5 items on consent tonight. We have the work session and meeting minutes from last month, November 21st. We have the November financial report, which we didn't see last month because we had moved our meeting up by a week for several reasons. So we've got the November financials this month. We have a couple of contracts here. The Shellfish Cost Share Addendum with State Conservation Commission and the Shore Friendly South Sound Interlocal Agreement. And then we've also got some additional items to surplus as we're moving out of our existing space and into a new space. So that's what's on consent. We'll need a motion on our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Betsy. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Seconded by Helen again. So we'll vote on the consent agenda. Betsy?
Aye.
Helen?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We've approved consent. It moves us to item 4, public comment. This is the point where any member of the public can address the board for up to 3 minutes on an issue that's on their mind that might also be relevant to us at the Conservation District. So I will stop at this point and ask, is there anyone who wishes to make public comment this evening? Going once. Going twice. We will close public comment and move to the next item, which is our partner reports. We have the first up here is the NRCS, and for the first time in a while, we actually have a live person here to give us an update for NRCS. We did have a really nice written piece in our packets, but it's wonderful to have you here, Lynn, and why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what we need to know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn Quat. I am the district conservationist for the NRCS for the Puget Sound team. So Thurston County is within the 5 counties that I oversee. It's nice meeting a lot of you on virtually. Sorry, I can't be there in person. I did meet Doug in person at the Washington CD conference and Sarah and potentially a couple others. I have been the district conservationist for about a year, and I apologize for not being present at these meetings, being new and just learning my job. And we had 6 people leave our team in the last year, and then we just hired 6 new people. So there's been a lot of turnover and so forth, but I feel like now that I've been in my job for a year, I understand how, like, at my position, how important partnerships are with conservation districts and so forth. So I'm really excited to jump on whenever I can with board meetings and give you guys an update. We do have, so I cover Thurston, Mason, Kitsap, King, Pierce counties, but we have NRCS employees in each office, and for the first time ever in a long time, the Olympia office has 3 planners, which is awesome. A lot of you guys probably knew Jeff Swotek, who retired, and then after he left, what happened was we had Robin Buckingham, and then he left, and then we had Aaron Gutierrez, our soil con, for a while. They moved over to Pierce County, and now we have Tara Donahoe. She was here before as a planner before a few years ago, but she's back on. Good news. She's
yeah.
back as of August. And then we also just hired 2 new planners, the resource conservationist, which is like the GS11 level. She comes from the BLM. They go by they them. Deshelle Burnham, and they have a lot of botanists. They have a botany background, a range background, and brings a lot of wealth of knowledge, and has been with the federal government for a while. So they're coming from Utah. They're not able to be on this call. And also Alex Wyatt, he's actually on this call. I just wanted to, Alex, can you turn on your video and introduce yourself? He's one of the new planners that also started 3 weeks ago.
Hello, yes, Alex Wyatt, brand new. Yeah, I think 3 going on this is the 4th week now, I think. So yeah, brand new, still learning the ropes. I come from a habitat management, wildlife background, so happy to be here and hope to be looking forward to working with everyone in the future.
Welcome to Olympia.
Yes, thank you. I came from the Tri-Cities, so the drier side of the state. I'm gonna have to get used to all the rain here this winter.
Thanks, Alex. And I guess I know this is the first time meeting you all too. I just wanted to talk about my background too. I was in King County for 2.5 years before taking this position as Amy Hendershot's position as the district conservationist. Maybe some of you know about her. She left to go to Oregon to be the state resource conservationist, doing big things there. And so I have King County knowledge, but I'm learning about all the other counties in the team. I'm really looking forward to learning more about Thurston County. I've talked to Sarah. Sarah's been amazing for doing our local working group meetings the past few years with Amy, and then the first time last year. And so we're really happy to have Sarah to the help with the Puget Sound team local working group, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, that's my background. Before that, I worked for the Forest Service as a soil scientist for 8 years, and then did intern and then NRCS as well before that. So soils background too, which soils is important. Okay, so for update for Puget Sound team, we have over 100 EQIP application this year for this fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts on October 1st. One thing that is new is that, out of those 100 applications, I believe 35 to 40 are Thurston County. So there's a lot of producers in Thurston County that are really interested in our programs. I don't know what a lot of those applications are at this point because we're still working on the field work, but a lot of the things we're seeing is high tunnels, pasture work, habitat work, so forth. And we have great specialists like Marty Cheney and area specialists in our office that can help with technical expertise as well. One thing that's new this year is that there will be a release of what's called Act Now funding. And Act Now funding is different from what we typically just take one round of applications. Act Now is for specifically this year, high tunnels and forest management plans and any management plans that we can pay for technical service providers to write a plan for a landowner. Those 2 things we can actually take in a rolling basis. Not that we can't take applications year round, but we can fund them based on a first come first basis. That's going to really be released probably soon at our state level. We also, that's new for this year. Inflation Reduction Act money is really present in Washington State. I believe we have around $10 million to spend on Inflation Reduction Act money. So that's all climate smart practices. There's a list of different practices that we can fund in those. Some of that is like plantings and anything related to helping the climate. And lastly, we also have hired another person in Bremerton. So now our team used to be 3 planners. Now it's 9 people. So we're pretty busy, and we have now a workload and finally able to handle the amount of applications and contracts that we have currently. And so I've asked all of our resource conservationists to start looking into partnerships with the CDs and come on. And I will also try to make it at least once every few months to meetings and be a present and do partner updates. And then one last, I had something, I swear I had something else, but I think I'll just stop there. Thank you. Local working group. We have a local working group meeting on February 21st. Sarah and I will talk more about the meeting agenda, but that's an opportunity for producers to talk about local funding pools that can be money that is set aside for our specific team for the 5 counties for anything that we think that is necessary. This past year, it was wildlife and irrigation and plant productivity, so we can talk about that. And then we also have a Inflation Reduction Act $100,000 put aside for forestry practices, so we can talk about more proposals to set aside money for NRCS applications specifically for the Puget Sound team. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, let me know.
Well, thank you for being here, Lynn. It's really good to see a face and to hear that NRCS is getting staffed up again, and that's wonderful. Board folks, anybody have questions or comments for Lynn or Alex, I guess? Yeah, Helen?
Well, I guess it's a real in the weeds kind of question, but you said that a lot of the applications from Thurston County were around high tunnels. Is that right? Is that like, and maybe Sarah knows this, I mean, is this a new interest, and what is that all about? Why would there be this interest in that? Or is this a focus is this a focus coming from the landowners, or is it something that NRDC is interested in?
Yeah, so it's an urban practice. It's popular in urban areas like ours because high tunnels are basically greenhouses, or like they extend the plant protective deed through the year. We've noticed that's really popular with mixed vegetable and just crop growers in general. We don't even sell it. I think producers just tell each other, hey, you can get a really good cost share program with high tunnels with us. It can range between $5 to $7 a square foot, and that's really good cost share for a 3,000 square foot high tunnel. It's popular, but it doesn't mean that that's the only thing we do. It's a popular one for sure.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of pollinator hedgerows and all sorts of things. We have 1,000 different conservation practices. But it's a good question. It's popular in demand, I think, mostly because producers are interested, and it's a really good cost share rate to like really pay for that.
And high tunnels have not always, since the NRCS inception, been one of the practices listed. And so when the high tunnel initiative came out, there was a lot of excitement and buzz around it. And it's not very old. It's only several years that it's been around. And it's been consistently one of the top practices that folks are interested in this area. And Lynn mentioned that it pays a good rate. NRCS rates are set, and depending on it, they don't necessarily fluctuate with the market. And so some of the practices, you're able to get a really great deal, a really great rate from NRCS through EQIP, and some of them may not necessarily cover all of the cost. And so you really have to weigh those pros and cons, and this is a good deal for folks. And it's been one of our most popular for a while.
I'll come back to you in a second, Betsy, but I'll just note too, Helen, I got an NRCS EQIP grant for a high tunnel back in 2017. And I think it paid about 95% of the total costs of that project. So from my perspective as a small urban farmer, it was great. It was a lot of free money that helped me expand production and create more marketing opportunities. Betsy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was curious about whether it's still limited to one per farm? No,
It isn't. So it now people could literally apply for multiple high tunnels in one application. So
Yeah.
and the cost share rate has increased by a lot. So it's I think it used to be like $3.50 or $4. Now it's close to 5 to 6. And so it's pretty awesome.
yeah, there's one right across the road that has stuff going in it all winter long.
I noted in the written update that we got from NRCS that the urban agricultural initiatives has a bunch of new practices, including something's called low tunnels.
Yes.
Can you talk about what that is and how it works?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with low tunnels, how like the actual like how we plan it and the so everything that we get funded, there needs to be a natural resource concern. It's basically jargon for like saying that there exists a natural resource concern, soil, water, air, etc. So with this, it will probably be plants. Same thing as high tunnels. Low tunnels are just basically small versions of high tunnels that are right on top of like the row crops and they cover the crops. And so that is also paid by the square footage. I don't know the square footage on the top of my mind, but I hear it's a pretty good rate. But I will say that since we're like the federal government, there are requirements and implementation requirements that are a little bit more strict. The only reason why it's strict is though because we want that practice to live out its lifespan. So I'm not sure what the lifespan are on those, but it's a 1 year practice. It's probably like 3 to 5 years that we hope for it to stay. For high tunnels, for example, lifespan is 5 years. But that is new. We also have new like for urban initiatives, we're getting higher payments for smaller farms, depending on your acreage too, like cover crops, for example.
I think that's very interesting because here in Thurston County, we are, as a district, we are really moving it more towards supporting urban agriculture in a variety of ways. And so I think getting information out about those opportunities through the new NRCS urban initiatives, I think it's a great opportunity for partnership between our organizations.
Absolutely. And I think this might be a good opportunity in the future to get we have Rebecca Anderson. She actually was here very temporarily as our resource conservationist. She is now our state urban planner. And so she is like on the forefront of creating these costs and these payments. So we can, if you guys are interested, we can have her at a meeting to talk to you all about what the urban stuff is really.
I think that would be really, really wonderful if we could schedule that sometime in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
great.
Right. Okay, anything else for our friends from NRCS here?
Good to see you again, Lynn.
Good to see you, Doug. Good to meet you, Betsy, Helen, TJ, and everyone else, Sarah. Yeah, it's just good to meet you all. I'm really excited to partner with you all more. And yes, let everyone know in the community that we're here and we got lots of money and also technical. We have more people, so we really want to be out there, and also staff too. TCD, if we can like come out with you site visits and see how we can help the producers hand in hand, and also help you guys with any of your programs. And we're ready to also learn from you all about like your programs, and maybe our programs don't work out, and so we can also advertise that to the producers in Thurston County. So
That's
yeah.
great. Well, thank you so much. And you're certainly welcome to hang around for the rest of our meeting, or if you need to move on, we understand that too.
Okay. Thank you all.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to our agenda. I think our next update was the Department of Ecology, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think we have anyone from Ecology with us tonight.
We do actually.
Oh, we do. Well,
Emily's here
then,
in person.
okay. Well, look at that. Let's hear from the Department of Ecology then.
Hi, everyone. For those who I have not met yet in person or virtually, my name is Emily Davis, and I'm a non-point source pollution specialist with the Department of Ecology Southwest region. I trade off with Molly Page coming to these meetings. And the only real update that I have this evening is that our team of non-point specialists has been without a supervisor for these last 3 months. We've had an acting supervisor but we just hired one. We're very excited. His name is Gabe Rasso. He'll be starting on January 2nd, and I'm going to try to introduce him around and have him come to these meetings to help build his relationship with the district. He's coming to us from Sound Transit. He's got experience in the world of stormwater, so some little bit of overlap there with some of TCD's programs. We're excited about that. I also wanted to highlight our non-point newsletter for December. I don't know, is that something that you link in your packet? Okay, yeah. So you can read that there in the packet. Particularly, I'll highlight the ERTS, the environmental complaint tracking system. You can see for Thurston County, we had 1 new ERTS since last month, and 2 ongoing. So that one, I believe, was a out of season manure land application, and that's being addressed and followed up with, and Marguerite has been looped in. So that's being worked on with that landowner. It's in good hands. And I think that's all I have for tonight, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Thanks for coming in person. It's great.
I love coming in person.
Yeah, thank you for being here, for being there. All right, then I think next up would be State Conservation Commission. I don't think Jean is with us tonight. So no in-person report from the commission. That moves us to, go ahead, Doug.
They did select a new executive director for the commission at the meeting on November 30th in Wenatchee. A gentleman, yes. James Graham. Thompson, thank you, Sarah. James Graham is a friend of mine. Anyway, James Thompson, he's got a port background and a business background, and we wish him well.
Yes. Okay, Doug, well, you can keep the floor here. Let's hear about anything further on WACD. We talked about that a little bit at the work session, and then also NACD.
Yeah, nothing on WACD other than there are 5 resolutions from WACD going to NACD. I'm working on those now. We had a really kind of cool coincidence. There were a couple of resolutions on FSA issues, and with my contacts at NACD, I was able to talk with them, and they just happened to be meeting with FSA, Zach Ducheneau, the administrator, the next day. So we were able to feed them information specifically about Washington State issues. So, and I've got an email into him pointing out, okay, what happened at that meeting? How did we do? So anyway, 5 resolutions. Those are all in the on the hub, the WACD hub. The other thing on NACD is their policies sunset after 5 years. And this year, there are 337 policies set to sunset. One of my jobs is to challenge ones that shouldn't sunset. And so I read all 337 of those policies, which I'll be in therapy for probably several months over that. And basically what you do when you challenge them is you think it's still valid, and so it shouldn't sunset. And a lot of those that I reviewed looked to me like they were still valid, but I took a different approach. What I did was I contested 3 the preamble type policies that were at the start of the policy book that covered a wide range of topics, including most everything that was in the rest of the policy book. So we'll see how that works. There's a couple of strategies you could use. You could let them sunset, and if they're really important, they could be resurrected later on. Frankly, I got in trouble about 3 or 4 years ago because I challenged 127, I think it was, policies, which was the instructions, and that offended some NACD people. But you know, change the instructions if you want it done differently. So anyway, we challenged 3. I think we'll be just fine with those. And we had a third item, a gentleman named David Bleet from Kitsap CD was the recipient of a registration scholarship for NACD. So that's a little bit of a coup for us. And that's it, unless there are questions.
Sarah has a question.
Recipient of a registration scholarship for NACD.
Hey, my phone just went off and Siri was answering about scholarships. Sorry, I don't know how that happened.
A lot of times, actually, when people say Sarah, their Siri is activated.
Oh.
So just
Oh.
be careful that my name may trigger an AI response. I just wanted to give a quick second in case Lisa Zabarak wanted to introduce herself. Lisa's a supervisor at Grace Harbor Conservation District, but also a Southwest Area Director for WACD. She's here this evening. Lisa, don't worry if you don't want to be put on the spot, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to say hi to the board and let them know who you are and what you're up to.
Hi, as Sarah said, my name is Lisa Zabarak, and the reason why I am kind of poking in on some of the meetings is when I first became a director, I was told, well, the CDs will come to you if they need you. Nobody really came to me. And so you guys are in a little different situation because you have Doug there, so he keeps you up to date. And if you have questions, you can go to him. But I just want to make sure that all of the districts that I represent know I'm here. If you have questions, if you want information from the WACD, or if you have things that you want taken to the WACD, that's what I'm here for. And I want to be able to work with you and help you in any way I can.
Thank you very much for being here, for introducing yourself, and for letting us know that you're a resource. We really appreciate that. Doug, I had one follow-up thing about NACD. You're always encouraging us to go to these meetings and get involved in this stuff. And I looked at it because I was like, well, maybe that would be interesting to do. And I gotta say, the cost of the conference and the $300 a night at the hotel, not only is it beyond the budget that we have here for travel for our board, the entire board budget, I think, but it just seems incredibly expensive. And while you notice that there are some scholarships, I'm just wondering if there's ever been any discussion about trying to figure out ways to bring the cost of those conferences down so that more districts and more supervisors can participate.
Yes, there has been. My underlying understanding is it's partially a fundraiser function too, which they don't talk about that a whole lot. But yeah, I think it's $750 for registration, and then like it's $259 a night. Plus you got transportation down there.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty swanky hotel in San Diego. I'm sure it's a very comfortable place to have a conference. I just wonder if it's just missing drawing people in that would otherwise want to participate.
Well, I think it does, TJ. I really think it does, and I brought that up before.
Yeah. Well,
some
thank you.
districts are poor.
Thank you for putting it out there. I think, inclusion is always something we need to be pushing. Certainly it's a value of this organization. And so thank you. I
Yeah,
won't be attending the San Diego conference this year, it looks like. So
Okay. There was another item on the resolutions. Your voice reminded me of that. You wanted to bring up, shoot. You remember what it was, Sarah? There was one of the resolutions.
The establishment of the Office of Small Farms was WARS, but it didn't pass.
No, I don't think that was it. Anyway, there was one that you asked to bring up, TJ, when both Sarah and I did speak to that.
oh, it was about the breaching of the Snake River dams.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you. Yeah, that went over like a lead balloon in Wenatchee.
Yeah, I figured it would.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you for the update and for being there for us. With that, we'll close partner reports and we'll move on to governance. We only have one item under governance tonight, which is what we're going to do next month. So let's take a look at the draft agenda for work session and meeting next month. There we go. It's a pretty typical looking agenda. CEC update, office update, staff presentation. And then at this point, the board meeting looks fairly typical as well. Normal consent agenda and, oh, excuse me, partner reports. So anything, oh, and we'll have something on cost of living adjustment. That's something we do every year. Just as routine business. So anything not on here that we need to add? Sarah, your hand's up.
There's a couple of items. One is I would probably remove the new office update from the work session topic list since we will be meeting in the new office in January. Unless there's a particular item the board is interested in, that can probably come off as a standing item.
If you don't mind, I'd like to leave it on there because one of the things we talked about last month was potentially doing some type of demonstration garden there and also signage. And so, and I don't know if we have to talk about it in January, but I don't want those things to get lost in the shuffle because as we move into this space, I think we need to think about how to make it more reflective of what we do and more accessible to the public.
That sounds great.
And I think to add on to that, we'll learn some lessons when we move from this current office to the new office on Tilly. And there may be things we've learned there that we can apply when we move into the CEC. We should keep track of that.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is helpful direction. Thank you. The other piece that we'll want to have some conversation about, which doesn't need to necessarily happen in January, but should certainly happen early in the year, is our plan and proposal for rates and charges renewal process. So that's a big one. It would be great if we could present at least a draft outline to the board in the work session in January for the board to have discussion and then give some direction to staff based on that plan.
Are you going, given everything else that's going on with the move, are you in a position to actually have that ready to go for discussion in January?
I think we can have a preliminary conversation about the timeline, right? So these are the steps.
Okay.
And then here's the timeline that we're anticipating. If that sounds good to the board, that'll kind of give us a foundation to then move forward on the other pieces. And there'll be much more time intensive pieces later on, like specific resolutions and public hearings and stuff like that. So maybe just a really general outline so everybody has a good understanding of what to expect. And then we can get add more detail layers as we go.
Do you think it'll be pretty much the way it was before?
Yeah, the process is the same. So I anticipate that we'll follow a very similar plan to the previous one. It worked really well in terms of our timing. It gave us plenty of cushion and such. So we can delve into that and see what other ideas the board might have that we can chew on and incorporate.
And the last time we went through rates and charges, the only person on the board today who was on the board then was Doug. So it might also be good in that timeline to indicate sort of board member involvement in that process, because I don't think any of us have good expectations of what that looks like.
Sure. That's great. Thank you for that. We can certainly do that. So that'll be really a good opportunity then in January to do some foundational work. That's a great idea.
Okay.
One more item is Fred's awards. If we can do that in the board meeting itself.
Yes, let's do that right after public comment.
Okay.
Do we want to put an asterisk by that, subject to Fred's availability?
We'll definitely confirm and let you know if that's changed. We can plan for that perhaps for now, and then if he's unavailable, we can notify the board that maybe a future month.
Yeah, great. That sounds good. All right. So yeah, Helen.
Should there be just a really quick update on the election, preparations for the election as well, or are we not that concerned about it?
We can do that in a variety of ways. We can have a memo that's included in your board packet. Susan will be providing you a memo probably monthly anyway on the new dates and status. But if you would prefer to have her come and speak at the work session or in the board meeting in person, that's totally an option too. So it's definitely your preference.
Well, it's more as a public information kind of concept for me. You know, memo might not be as, I'm not sure what would be the most readily accessed by the public to understand what's, you know, what's going on with the election.
Would
Well,
that be
maybe-
something to be posted?
Say that again, Doug?
It could be posted on our website.
Yeah.
And maybe we kind of split the difference here. We ask for a detailed memo from Susan, but we don't need to have her at the meeting. And if there's any additional oral update from that point, Sarah, you could provide that.
Yeah.
Great plan.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Helen. Okay, so with that, we have at least a draft for our next month's meetings. Obviously, we can make lots of modifications between now and then, but we'll go with that for now as a working draft. And then that'll take us back to tonight's agenda once we get caught up here. Sophia gets caught up here.
We're going back. Yeah.
One of the things I do for the important dates is provide the NACD and WACD meeting dates. Are those helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to know.
Continue.
Okay. All right then. So that ends governance. So the next item on our list is the take action on our 2024 budget. We've spent the last couple of months going through that in work session and public session, and tonight's the night we need to actually take action. So before asking for a motion on that, I'll ask Sarah, has there been any changes, anything we need to know about since we talked about this last month?
No, the budget is still in the final draft form that was presented in November. There have been no changes or additional comments received.
Okay. So with that, I'll open to a motion on the 2024 budget.
This is Doug. I'll move that we adopt the 2024 budget for Thurston Conservation District
As presented.
as presented. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Doug has made the motion. Is there a second? Second is Betsy. We will vote on our budget then. And I'll just note before voting, this is the largest budget in the history of this organization, which we all know we've talked about, but it's worth putting on the record again that it's a big budget, and it shows our continued growth and development and service to the community for sure. So with that, we will vote on that big budget. Betsy.
Aye. But
Oh, I should have gone with Doug first, but we'll go back to Doug. Doug.
Aye.
Okay, and then Helen.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. So we have approved the budget for next year. Good job, everybody. And good job, staff, particularly Susan and the admin folks for putting that together and making our job easy. With that,
Chair,
go ahead.
I'm just so impressed with our board and our staff, having been around here when it was like a $200,000 budget. This is like, reminds me of those Maxell tape commercials where the guy's sitting in the chair and the lamp is blown back and the hair is blown back and the glasses are blown off. That's kind of what I feel like. This is really good stuff for the resource and the people of this community. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. Okay, so with that, we are going to move into an executive session to review the performance of our executive director. This is an annual thing we do. This is permitted under RCW 423110G. We will be in this executive session for no more than 30 minutes. The we means all the board and Sarah. And after that time period, maybe 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, we will come back here and we will have a report out from the executive session. And then we will adjourn our meeting. And of course, because it's an executive session, we will take no action in that executive session. That is not permitted and we won't do that. So the time right now is 7:40. So that means we'll come back here by about 8:10 or sooner to adjourn our meeting and report back. So there we go. Here's our breakout room. We'll see you all in the other room.
Okay.
Sarah, you're actually muted.
Okay.
Can't hear you. You're muted.
I was saying to Betsy, I didn't notice you falling asleep, but I'm on the verge of that myself. I'm in that space too, so I appreciate your comment. All right, it looks like we've got everybody back here, and perhaps everybody who was waiting around decided to leave, it looks like. So here we are reporting back from the executive session. We had a great discussion between the board and the executive director on her performance, and then the board spent some time identifying priorities for the future, which I will convey to our executive director in a letter and a personal meeting in early 2024. And with that, we've come to the end of our evening here. So all I need is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Helen,
I'll second it.
seconded by Betsy. So voting on adjournment. Helen,
Yep.
Betsy,
I'm out.
Doug. Doug is muted. We can't
Okay, now
hear
try it.
Doug.
Yeah, I just suggested you could give David a call and let him know what happened.
Okay, I'll do that. Yep. Okay, and you're voting yes on adjournment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that makes 4 of us. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all, and happy holidays. Enjoy your family and your friends and good food and whatever your holiday traditions are. And we'll see you in January.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.